Ready for another deep dive? Today we're tackling chromatography. Sounds kind of like an art thing, right?
Not quite, but it can be pretty intricate.
So no paint involved then. What is chromatography exactly, and why should we even care?
Basically, it's all about separation. Think of it like this. You've got a mix of chemicals, anything from your coffee to polluted water. Chromatographers, they're like detectives, figuring out how to separate each little thing in that mix.
Okay, I'm kind of getting it. But is this like microscopes and those bubbly test tubes we see in movies?
You're getting warmer. There's some cool equipment involved for sure. Imagine a racetrack, but for molecules.
A racetrack.
Yeah. So you've got gas chromatography or liquid chromatography. They're like different tracks.
Yeah.
And they use these different setups to sort those molecules based on, well, their own little quirks.
So some molecules are faster?
Exactly. Some are speed demons, others lag behind. And by watching how they run the track, that's how chromatographers know what's what and how much of it's even there.
So it's like each molecule has its ID card, and this is how we check it.
Exactly. And just like how those IDs solve crimes, chromatography impacts a ton of different fields.
Like what? Give me an example.
Okay, ever hear about microplastics in, the ocean?
Yeah, it's a huge problem.
It is. And guess who's figuring out how bad it is?
Chromatographers.
You got it. They're the ones testing water, soil, everything to see how much microplastic is there. Without that info, we'd be lost on how to even fix things.
Wow, I never made that connection. So we're agreed, this isn't just some fancy word, it's actually important. But what's it like being a chromatographer? What do you even do all day?
There's no typical day, which is what I love about it. You could be creating a brand new test for some complex medicine one day,
And the next?
fixing equipment or working with other scientists on some big research project. It varies a lot.
Sounds pretty dynamic.
Yeah.
But what about the environment? All sterile labs and lab coats.
You'll definitely be in a lab surrounded by high-tech stuff and, yeah, probably in a lab coat. Safety first. But it's not just beakers and Bunsen burners all the time.
Oh, so it's not all solo work.
Not necessarily. You might be on a huge team with all sorts of scientists, engineers, the whole shebang. Or you could be super specialized, focused on one tiny area of chromatography, or working specifically for, say, the food industry.
So there's tons of variety. That's good to know.
Yeah.
But let's be real. No job's perfect. What are the big pros and cons from your perspective?
Good question. On the plus side, chromatography never sits still. There's always a new challenge, new tech to learn. You're really at the cutting edge of science. Plus, jobs are in high demand, pay is good, you've got security. Hard to beat that.
Those are some serious perks. But what about the downsides? You said challenges. Like what?
Well, like anything in science, gotta be precise, detail-oriented. You're working with sensitive instruments, analyzing data, troubleshooting when things inevitably go wrong.
Sounds stressful.
It can be. Plus, since it's always changing, you gotta keep up. Conferences, research papers, always learning.
So you need a certain personality for this then. Someone who likes puzzles, doesn't mind hard work, gets a thrill from discovery.
You nailed it. Curiosity, being meticulous, loving to solve problems, essential skills for this job.
So if someone's listening thinking, chromatography, that's my kind of science. What's the career path look like? Where do they even start?
Like most science fields, education is key. A bachelor's degree in chemistry or something similar, that's the bare minimum. But to really move up, you'll need to specialize. Gas chromatography, we call it GC, or high performance liquid chromatography, HPLC for short.
Chuckles. We'll unpack those acronyms in a bit, don't worry.
Right, but the point is, a master's degree or even a PhD, that's your ticket to the really cool research, the leadership roles, maybe even teaching the next generation of chromatographers.
So whether you're fresh out of school or looking for a career change, it seems like there's a place for you in chromatography. But let's back up to those intimidating acronyms for a sec. GC and HPLC, why are they such a big deal in this field?
Okay, so think of them like the heavy hitters in your chromatography toolkit. GC and HPLC, they're both super powerful, but used for different things.
Different tools for different jobs. Makes sense.
Right. GC, that's gas chromatography. It's the speed demon. You use that for things that turn into gas easily.
So like what? Perfumes?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Volatile oils, fragrances, even checking how much alcohol's in your drink, anything that vaporizes easily.
So if I need my perfume analyzed,
You know who to call. But yeah, for stuff that's stubborn, doesn't want to be a gas.
that's where HPLC steps in.
You got it. High performance liquid chromatography, big name, same idea. It's just really good at separating things that stay liquid.
So medicines, food additives.
Exactly. Even those tricky environmental samples with loads of stuff mixed in, HPLC can handle it.
GC is the sprinter, HPLC is the long-distance runner.
Got it. This is getting pretty complex, though. What do you need to know skills-wise to actually DO this stuff?
Well, chemistry knowledge is a must, obviously. You're dealing with actual molecules, right?
Yeah.
But on top of that, understanding how separation works, that's key. How to use the instruments, fix them when they break, and then make sense of the data you get.
So it's more than just mixing stuff in beakers. Way more. You're basically a specialized technician, and for specific techniques like GC or HPLC, you'll often need extra training, certifications, the whole 9 yards.
A lot to learn. Okay, so say you've got the education part down, you love the science, ready to dive into the chromatography world. What should aspiring chromatographers focus on to stand out? What do employers want to see?
That's the million-dollar question. Education's the base, but employers, they love seeing real-world experience, internships, lab work, anything hands-on.
So get your hands dirty. Metaphorically speaking, I assume, with all those chemicals around.
Yeah, safety first. But yeah, you gotta prove you can solve problems, analyze stuff. Remember, troubleshooting is a huge part of this job.
Like a scientific detective,
Yeah.
figuring out why the experiment went sideways.
Exactly. And tech is always changing in this field, so showing you're adaptable, eager to learn new things, that goes a long way.
Always be learning. Makes sense. Okay, let's talk job hunting. Any tips for landing that dream chromatography gig?
Networking is huge. Go to conferences, join groups like the American Chemical Society, even just connecting with people on LinkedIn. You never know what doors might open.
It's all about who you know, even in the science field.
Yeah,
But a good resume still matters. Right?
absolutely. Tailor it to each job you apply for. Don't just list skills, highlight the ones they specifically asked for. Show them you actually read the description.
And don't forget those keywords. Got to get past those resume scanning bots.
Right. Okay, so you get the interview. Prep is everything.
That's where RoleCatcher comes in handy. I remember them having a whole section on acing those interviews.
They do. Sample questions, even AI practice tools. It's awesome. But one thing they stressed, and I can't agree more, is showing your passion.
Not just knowing the stuff, but loving the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that so important for chromatography specifically?
Because it shines through. If you're genuinely excited about this work, your energy, your enthusiasm, that's what people remember. Plus, let's be real, chromatography can be tough.
Yeah, I bet.
You need patience, dedication, and a real love for the puzzle of it all to keep going when experiments fail. And trust me, they will fail sometimes. That passion's what gets you back up and trying again.
The fire in your belly. So it's not just about skills, it's about that drive to explore.
Yeah.
Great advice. So for all you future scientists out there, skills can be learned, but that spark, that's what makes you stand out. But even with all that, getting the job's just the start, right?
Yeah.
What happens after you've wowed them with your GC knowledge and officially become a chromatographer? What did the path forward even look like? So you've landed that chromatography job. Congrats. Now what? Is there like a set path, got to climb the ladder, or are there different ways to build your career?
That's the cool part. It's not one size fits all at all. You might start on a team in a lab, focused on one thing, like GC. Then as you get better...
You become the GC master.
Right. Or maybe you realize you love a certain industry, like maybe pharmaceuticals or food science. Lots of options.
Your own adventure, but with molecules instead of treasure maps. Love it. RoleCatcher mentioned the future of chromatography. Anything big and exciting coming down the pipeline? Any breakthroughs to watch out for?
Oh, yeah, for sure. One thing that's blowing up right now is miniaturizing the instruments.
Miniaturizing, you mean like shrinking them?
Exactly. Imagine having a device you hold in your hand that can analyze stuff right there on the spot. Environmental pollutants, food safety, you name it.
Wow, that would be game-changing. Instead of sending samples to a lab and waiting, you'd know instantly. What else?
Artificial intelligence is changing the game too. AI can analyze those giant data sets of chromatography results way faster than humans ever could.
So it's like having a superpowered lab assistant that never gets tired.
Exactly. AI can spot patterns and find things we might miss otherwise. It's really powerful stuff.
Chromatography and AI? Unstoppable duo? Seems like the future is about pushing boundaries. Using tech, but keeping that scientific curiosity alive.
Couldn't have put it better myself.
Well, there you have it. A deep dive into chromatography, all thanks to RoleCatcher.com. We covered a lot, the basics, what it's actually used for, even what's coming next.
It's been fun exploring all things molecules and mixtures today.
Totally agree. And for anyone listening who's as into this as we are, definitely go check out RoleCatcher.com. They have tons of info, career advice, interview tips, even job listings if you're ready for that next step. Maybe you'll be the one developing those amazing new techniques we talked about. That's all for a deep dive today, but until next time, keep those brains curious and never stop exploring.